The WTA is currently in a state of total meltdown. The reality is that the women's professional tour has just been flipped upside down by a single training session in Mallorca. If you thought the competition was fair, you were wrong. We have seen the raw footage, and the truth is undeniable. Rafael Nadal is personally training Iga Swiatek, and the rest of the tour is absolutely terrified. This isn't just a practice session, it is a calculated strike against every other player on the circuit. The footage shows Nadal feeding balls to Swiatek, sharing secrets that took him 20 years to master. This is the ultimate power move by Iga, and it has sent her rivals into a tailspin of rage and jealousy. The industry is in shock because this crosses every ethical line in the sport. Iga Swiatek was already the queen of clay. She was already dominating the field. But now she has imported the greatest clay court brain in history. The documents prove that this wasn't an accident. It was a planned alliance designed to destroy any hope the other players had of winning a title this year. When the video hit the internet, the reaction from the locker room was immediate. The villains of this story are the ones who can't handle the heat. They are the ones calling for investigations. They are the ones trying to play the victim when the only victim here is the integrity of the game according to their twisted logic. The reality is that Iga is the hero who is simply working harder than everyone else. She saw a gap in the system and she took it. But the WTA executives are in meltdown mode. They are facing a crisis they never saw coming. How do you stop a player from learning from the best? You can't. But that hasn't stopped the jealous rivals from trying. Jessica Pegula and Madison have already broken their silence. Their words were sharp and full of bitterness. They aren't just worried, they're desperate. They know that if Iga masters the Nadal forehand, this season is over before it even begins. This is a scandal that goes all the way to the top of the WTA office. The first half of this year has been a disaster for the people trying to stop Iga. They watched her struggle in the Sunshine Double, and they thought she was finally vulnerable. They thought the hero was falling, but they were wrong. The reality is that Iga was just preparing her next move. While her rivals were celebrating her early exits in Indian Wells in Miami, Iga was on a private jet to Mallorca. She wasn't there for a vacation, she was there to build a weapon. The footage shows her standing deep behind the baseline, just like Nadal. She is learning to take the ball at a height that no woman on tour can handle. This is what the rivals are calling illegal. They claim it's an unfair advantage to have a 22-time Grand Slam champion acting as a personal consultant. But who are they to talk? The villains in the WTA have been trying to rig the system against Iga for months. They change the balls, they change the court speeds, and they try to market anyone else but the true champion. Now, their lies are unraveling. They can't claim she's just lucky anymore. They can't claim she's one-dimensional. The footage proves she is evolving into something the sport has never seen. This is a total meltdown for the WTA PR machine. They wanted a close race for the #1 spot. Instead, they got a hero who is literally training with the god of clay. The legal defeat for the rivals is already happening in the court of public opinion. They sound like sore losers. When Jessica Pegula said this should be banned, she exposed the true nature of the locker room. It's not about sport, it's about fear. They want to ban excellence because they can't compete with it. The documents prove that there is no rule against training at a private academy. There is no rule against talking to Rafael Nadal, but the villains are trying to manufacture a scandal out of thin air. They are calling it a procedural failure that allows legends to influence the women's draw. It is a pathetic attempt to slow down a freight train. The second half of this scandal is even deeper. It's about the poaching of Francisco Roig. This is where the WTA Playbook battle really gets dirty. Roig was a staple of the Nadal camp for years. He is a man who knows every secret of the Spanish clay court system. Iga didn't just hire a coach, she staged a tactical coup. She waited until the perfect moment to pull him away from the ATP Tour. The rivals are claiming this was done mid-season to destabilize the market. They are calling it predatory coaching. The truth is, Iga is the hero for having the vision to hire the best. The villains are just mad they didn't think of it first. The industry is now distancing itself from the players who are complaining. Sponsors and fans are seeing through the illegal narrative. They see a young woman who is dedicated to her craft. They see a hero who is willing to change her entire game to stay on top. Meanwhile, the rivals are stuck in the past. They're busy recording podcasts and complaining about unfairness, while Iga is hitting thousands of balls under the Spanish sun. The financial evidence shows that Iga is investing more into her team than any other player. She is spending the money she earned to get even better. How can anyone call that a scandal? The WTA Rulebook clauses are being analyzed by every lawyer in the sport right now. The villains want to find a way to limit legend consulting. They want to put a cap on how many hours an ATP legend can spend with a WTA player. It is a ridiculous, calculated lie to suggest this is cheating. The reality is that the WTA executives are scared of a boring season. They want drama, but they didn't want this kind of drama. They wanted a fight, but Iga just brought a tank to a knife fight. The documents prove that the WTA board has held 3 emergency meetings in the last week. They are trying to find a way to appease the angry rivals without looking like they are targeting the world's most popular player. The accusations against Iga are falling apart under the slightest bit of pressure. They claim she is poaching staff, but the reality is that coaches want to work with winners. Francisco Roig didn't join Iga because of a shady deal. He joined her because she is the only one on tour with the talent to execute his vision. The industry knows this. The equipment manufacturers know this. Even the tournament directors know this. The only people who don't want to admit it are the ones who have to play her on center court. Their reputations are free-falling because they look weak. They look like they've already lost before the first point of the clay season is even played. The systemic implications of this alliance are massive. We are seeing the birth of a new era in tennis where the lines between the ATP and WTA are blurring. Iga is the pioneer. She is showing that a female athlete can and should seek out the highest level of expertise regardless of gender. The villains who want to keep the tours separate are just trying to protect their own mediocre systems. They don't want the bar to be raised this high. If Iga wins the French Open by dropping only 10 games, the entire WTA structure will be questioned. People will ask why the other players aren't doing the same. The answer is simple. They don't have the hero's heart. The WTA CEO, Steve Simon, is caught in the middle of a procedural nightmare. On one hand, he has a global superstar who is generating millions in revenue. On the other, he has a group of frustrated players who are threatening to revolt. The reality is that the illegal training claims are a smokescreen. The rivals are actually upset about the power shift. They feel like the system is failing them because it's allowing one player to become untouchable. But the documents prove that Iga has followed every single rule. She has registered her team correctly, she has done her media sessions, she has played the game the right way. The breakdown of the WTA Playbook is a joy to watch for anyone who loves the truth. For years, the villains have tried to control the narrative. They wanted to frame Iga as a lucky one-slam wonder who just happened to find a niche on clay. But after 4 titles in Paris and a secret alliance with Nadal, that lie is dead. The industry is moving on. The fans are moving on. The only ones left in the meltdown are the rivals who chose to complain instead of train. Their accusations of illegal coaching are being laughed out of the room by anyone who understands the sport. As we look at the expanded timeline, the desperation of the villain camp becomes even clearer. They waited until Iga had a minor dip in form to strike. They waited until she was at her lowest point in years, falling to number 4 in the rankings. They thought she had her. They thought the system had finally broken her spirit. But the hero didn't break. She went to the one person who knows how to handle a comeback better than anyone else. She went to the king of clay. The reality is that this alliance is the most honest thing in tennis right now. It is 2 champions sharing a bond of excellence. The rival players thought they could use the media to shame Iga. They thought they could use phrases like unethical and arms race to turn the public against her. But the opposite happened. The raw footage of Iga and Nadal has become the most watched tennis clip in the decade. People aren't angry, they're inspired. They see the hero learning from her idol. They see the purity of the sport. The villain's attempt to create a scandal has only boosted Iga's brand. It has made her the most talked about athlete in the world. Their plan has completely backfired. The WTA leadership is now facing a choice. They can either support their champion or they can listen to the voices of the jealous. If they choose the latter, the tour will face a total collapse of credibility. The reality is that the illegal training claims are based on nothing but spite. There is no rule in the book that says a retired player can't give advice to a current one. There is no rule that you can't hire a coach who used to work for a legend. The villains know this. They are just hoping that if they scream loud enough, someone will listen. But the documents prove that their case is non-existent. The industry is already shifting its focus to the upcoming clay season. The betting odds for the French Open have seen a massive swing. Iga is now the overwhelming favorite, even more than before. The rivals are seeing their own stocks drop. Why would a sponsor invest in a player who spends their time complaining about a training session? The reality is that the villains are destroying their own marketability. They are framing themselves as losers before the tournament even starts. They are creating a narrative of their own defeat. The coaching world is also in a state of shock. The poaching of Roig has set a new standard for what a professional team looks like. It's no longer enough to have a hitting partner and a physio. If you want to be the best, you need a brain trust. Iga has built a machine. The villains are still trying to figure out how to use a wrench. This is the systemic failure they keep talking about. It's not a failure of the rules, it's a failure of their own ambition. They are mad because Iga showed them how much more they could be doing. The conclusion of this saga is already written. The villains in the WTA thought they could use a single illegal training session to bring down a hero. They thought they could manufacture a meltdown and force the tour to intervene. But the reality is that they only exposed their own fear. They showed the world that they don't believe they can beat Iga Swiatek on a level playing field. They showed the world that they are terrified of a girl who just wants to learn a better forehand. Their reputations are in a freefall that no PR firm can stop. The documents, the footage, and the facts all point to one thing. Iga Swiatek is the hero who refused to stay down. She saw her ranking drop and she didn't complain. She didn't blame the balls or the schedule. She went to Mallorca, she worked, she learned, and she came back with the greatest weapon in the history of the sport. The villains can keep their podcasts and their illegal accusations. It won't save them on the clay. The industry has seen the truth, and the truth is that excellence cannot be banned. As the tour moves into the heart of the season, the meltdown will only get worse for the critics. Every match Iga wins will be another reminder of their failure. Every trophy she lifts will be a testament to the hero's journey. The scandal is over, and the only ones left standing in the ruins are the ones who tried to start it. They are facing a professional downfall that was entirely self-inflicted. They had a choice to get better, but they chose to get bitter. The reality is that the sport of tennis is changing. It is becoming more professional, more intense, and more connected. Iga Swiatek and Rafael Nadal are the faces of this change. The villains are the relics of a past where mediocrity was accepted. They can't handle the new world, so they try to tear it down. But the hero is too strong. The alliance is too deep. The illegal training was just the beginning of a total takeover. The WTA will never be the same, and that is exactly what the sport needed. The rivals thought they'd destroy Iga, but they only destroyed themselves.